Chag Sameach on this fourth night of Hanukkah. I'm Rabbi Phyllis Berman, and next to me is my beloved Rabbi Arthur Wasko, and we're welcoming you into our home to light the fourth night candles.
And as Phyllis just said, I'm Arthur Wasko. I'm a rabbi and I'm director of the Shalom Center, which is creating this program that you're about to see. What we're doing is celebrating Hanukkah as a moment of renewable energy. After all, one of the legends of Hanukkah is the olive oil in the sacred menorah, in the sacred temple in Jerusalem that lasted, although it was only supposed to last for one night, that lasted a full 8 nights. Conservation of energy and renewable energy, because olive oil is renewable. So in our generation, the whole planet depends upon our learning to conserve energy and to use renewable energy. And we think Hanukkah is a major festival when we need to learn to do that. We see all the festivals as the offspring of a love affair between the Jewish people and earth. And now the earth is in danger, is wounded, and needs the help of her offspring, the festivals. And we're trying to shape the festivals in their deep, authentic meaning to help Mother Earth survive being wounded and give new life, not only to herself, but to her children, the human species, the human race. So here we are with a program intended to do that. And we'll see later in the program how we think that not only the Jewish people, but every neighborhood in America and ultimately through the earth can focus on solar energy and wind energy, renewable energy, and energy conservation to heal the planet and also to heal the sharp divisions and ugliness that is plaguing American life, to heal ourselves and to heal the earth. Now that's quite an amazing feat to be able to pull off. And lighting the candles reminds us to do it. The 350 is the name of an important and pro-earth organization. And that whole Hanukkah, Hanukkah menorah, was made by a member of the Shalom Center and of 350.org, Peter Handler, a furniture maker here in Philadelphia. Several years ago, 350.org held an activist celebration at the Liberty Bell in Philadelphia during Hanukkah. It fit very well, Hanukkah and the Liberty Bell. And to honor 350 and Liberty and the earth and Hanukkah, he created this amazing Hanukkah menorah in honor of 350. 350 is the number of parts of CO2 per million that in the atmosphere would mean we were just about okay. And more than 350 means we're in trouble, and a lot more means we're in a lot of trouble. And that's where we are. We need to get back to 350 as parts per million of CO2. And we keep that in mind. And that's why we thought this was by far the best Hanukkah or Hanukkah menorah to use for this program. So we'll begin with the blessings. Eloheinu ruach haolam asher kitshanu v'tzivanu l'hadlik ner shel Hanukkah. At brucha ya Eloheinu ruach haolam she'asta nisim lehoreinu bayamim hahem b'zman hazeh.
Ma'otzor Yeshuati L'Hanael L'Shabeach Tikkun Beit Tefilati Misham Todah Nizabeach Li'etohim Abeach Mitzorcham Nabeach Odemor B'shir Mizmor Hanukkah Amizbeach Odemor B'shir Mizmor Hanukkah Amizbeach. So we wish for one another and for all of you the blessing that the increasing lights of the 8 nights of Hanukkah give us all the clarity we need, and the increasing darkness until the earth turns toward light once again, fills us with the mystery. And may that be so.
Amen. Alechem Shalom, Chag Urim Sameach, and we welcome you to the rest of the program to see how Hanukkah can in fact bring new energy for the healing of America and the healing of the earth. Be well.
This big old world keeps on spinning. Light follows darkness, follows light. Please bless the hearts, the hands that hold us gently, and make a place for us to shine. Each moment is a new beginning. Each breath a flute of light inside. And all your love will hold and make us stronger, and make a place for us to shine. big old world keeps on spinning. Light follows darkness, follows light. Please bless the hearts, the hands that hold us gently, and make a place for us to shine. 1, 2, 3, 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 shine.
So I'm Arthur Wasco, which people sort of know because they know me from the Shalom Center. This is Anya Schoolman, who is executive director of Solar Solar United Neighborhoods, right?
Solar United Neighbors.
Oh, Sun, S-U-N, Sun.
Yeah.
Very clever indeed. And I thought we might begin by you describing exactly how you got to create the origins of Sun. I thought people would love the story.
Sure, I'd love to share this story. It started in 2007, and it really grew out of my son, Walter, who was working on his Tikkun Olam Bar Mitzvah project. You know, something substantive to do. And he had seen the movie Inconvenient Truth with his best friend, Diego. And they came back from seeing the movie and they were like, Mom, we should go solar. We need to solve this problem ourselves. We can't wait for the government. And we live in Washington, D.C. And back then, solar was very expensive. And it was very hard to find a company to help. And we called about 30 different companies, and no one wanted to come into the city. And the few that did weren't really interested. We live in a 3-story townhome, flat roof. And so I said to the guys, look, if we're going to do all the work to figure this out, we better do the whole neighborhood because it's too much work for just one house. And I sort of thought I was being the tricky mom that was extricating herself from a project. And what happened instead was that the boys created the Mount Pleasant Solar Cooperative. And they went door to door in our neighborhood, which is right near the zoo in Washington, D.C. And it's a very mixed urban kind of neighborhood, row houses, very diverse. And they just dropped off these flyers saying, do you want to go solar? And asked a bunch of questions. And then what was remarkable is within 2 weeks, we had 50 families sign up. Wow. And, we had to start working together. And we worked for 2 years and ended up taking 45 houses solar as a group. We ended up with about 90 families. And then in the end, about half of them actually went solar. And we learned about the technology, we learned about the policy, we learned about all the practical considerations, the permitting, how to work with the utility, what kind of roof, the whole thing. So it was just an amazing experience. And
that's really great.
Yeah.
I spent from 1965 until 1982 living at Adams Morgan, just south of where you were.
Right, just around the corner.
Yeah, and my son, who went away from DC and then came back, lived in Mount Pleasant for years. So it's really amazing what you pulled off.
Yeah.
And now, where is SUN? So
well, we just did this project. It was all volunteer. It was just neighbors coming together. And then the next thing that happened is that other neighborhoods in DC heard about it. And they said, people from those neighborhoods were like, show us what you did, teach us that. We want to do it too. And so in the next year, there was a Capitol Hill Solar Co-op and a Palisades Solar Co-op, then a Ward 4 Solar Co-op, a Ward 8 Solar Co-op, and we spread around the city. And it was at that point, after there was co-ops in almost I think we were in every ward in DC. DC has 8 wards. That's when we became Sun, because we were all these individual neighborhood co-ops and we came together as Solar United Neighbors. And then it spread to from just DC to neighboring states. We added West Virginia, and Maryland. And now we're a national organization, and we have organized over 247 of these co-ops. It's over $100 million in investment. Oh. We've helped more than 5,000 people go solar. And we've also organized and educated tens of thousands more. Many people do our education and then go solar themselves, or they've already gone solar and they join us after they go solar to work on policy or to expand solar, because what we've discovered is going solar is really the beginning, not the end of the process. And so people will go solar and then they're like, well, what's next? So they may take their synagogue solar, which is one of the things I also did after I went solar on my own house, or they may work on a low-income solar project or a community solar project, or they may work on a larger energy policy in their state. So it's an entryway for a lot of people to realize that they can actually make a difference.
That's amazing. And now I see that you and we here at the Shalom Center working separately on seemingly separate tracks have decided, both of us, that there ought to be a national program to go solar everywhere in America. And I could even imagine with institution of the Paris program, which commits the United States to help poorer countries to deal with the climate crisis, that it could be everywhere, truly everywhere, not just the United States. But tell me about what it is that you're imagining now as the next step.
Yeah, it was so amazing to hear from you the other day, because you were like, I've been thinking about this proposal, and you sent me a document and I read it and I was like, wow, we've been thinking about the same thing. And we call ours 30 million solar roofs. And the idea is that part of the next stimulus bill, or maybe the one after that, we need one right now this week, but maybe in January, we'll get a bigger, more comprehensive stimulus bill. And the idea is, if you did a combination of direct grants and policy changes to stimulate 30 million solar roofs, you could get amazing economic development, jobs, and direct energy savings in every county and every city and every town in the United States. And it's something that could truly address energy equity, unemployment, economic hardship, and yet make real progress towards climate and this sort of just and equitable transition to clean energy.
Yeah, great. Well, we've been working, this Home Center has been working on healing the earth. And in fact, I think you probably remember, we actually inspired the creation of the Northwest Philadelphia Solar Co-op, what was it, like 7 or 8 years ago, which is still in existence and brought together several dozen families. So that was sort of in our heads somewhere. And then this past 6 months, I've been thinking about what seemed like a total paralysis of American society, with seemingly two totally opposed, bitterly opposed, culturally opposed groups with their heads knocking against each other. On the one hand, you socialists, communists, globalists, disgusting people, you racist, fascist people. And we were accomplishing nothing, and certainly accomplishing nothing about healing the earth, and accomplishing very little. You, literally you, and plural you, but singular you as well, were accomplishing something in terms of solarization, but the society as a whole just. And then I thought, what if we talk about neighborhoods, not about the political parties, which to some extent have an investment in making enemies out of the other one. But what if we talk about neighborhoods? One of the things that people have been telling me, especially the last couple months, is that when I get to meet actual people, sometimes they're my family. Sometimes I get to meet them by accident. I go on a trip and I meet people. They're actually lovable people. Uh, no matter who they vote for, which television network, they're really lovable people. I don't like the idea that they're just my enemies. What
Yeah.
if we were able to solarize neighborhoods and if we
I
could reach
just
neighborhoods?
I so share your view, and I think it's always been one of the things that really attracted me about solar is that when we're helping people go solar, there's two things about it. One, it attracts people from all walks of life and all different ideologies. And when before COVID, we would have organizing meetings in communities, in neighborhoods. And many times people were meeting their neighbors for the first time because normally they traveled in different circles. And yet they came together around solar. And I think one of the things about solar that allows those bridges to be built is that it's practical and pragmatic. And everyone can see that about it. It's not ideological. So if you look at polling, 92% of Americans love solar.
Uh-huh.
And you get into these personal conversations, and there's this commonality. People want to save money. Everybody needs to save money, almost everybody.
Right.
People want to do something practical rather than just talk, and never get anywhere. People want the benefits in their local community, right? Not far away, not some power plant in the neighboring state. They want the benefits and the jobs in their community where they can see it and benefit from it. So that local economic development piece of rooftop solar and local solar really matters to people. And that really builds bridges. And I think it's something that if you can drop the party ideology for a minute, that everybody can agree on.
Right.
And the only other thing I wanted to add is that there's a program that the United States Agriculture Department runs called the USDA REAP program, which is a Rural Energy Assistance Program, and it provides grants to farmers to go solar and other things. And we, Solar United Neighbors at Sun, have been providing technical assistance to farmers all over the country to help them apply for the program.
Uh-huh.
And in this 30 million roof campaign, that's one of the things that we think would be really easy. Just expand that program. And it's any rural county, businesses or farmers can apply. It's an existing program. It's run well. Just add a couple zeros to the money that they put through the existing pipeline each year, and it can help these rural communities thrive.
That's wonderful. One of the things, one of my semi-forgotten but not totally forgotten hats is that I once upon a time was an American historian. And one of the things I was really involved in was learning about the history of the New Deal. One of those things was what was called the Rural Electrification Project. It's kind of stunning to realize that most American farms until the mid 1930s didn't have electricity. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Imagine. And so there was a New Deal project which brought electricity to American farms. And so that was one of the things in my head was the REA, the rural electrification. And I realized it was done through co-ops.
Yeah.
And a number of those co-ops are still around. So that was another thing that was in my head when I started thinking about this. So I didn't know that there was actually a program that was doing solar. I would imagine using some of the same co-ops that were created in the 1930s in order to do electrification in the first place.
Yeah. Those co-ops are still around and they're still serving. I think it's about half of the landmass of the United States is electric co-ops, if I remember correctly. And we've been doing at Sun, we've been doing a lot of work with co-ops in some states where we have more of a presence or we have organizing. And the co-ops are really struggling to make this transition to clean energy. And part of it is that they got locked into coal and they don't really have a pathway out. And it's going to take the federal government to help them find that pathway out. It's going to take I don't think it'll be a quick part of the stimulus bill, but it's going to have to be really one of the key backbones of sort of restructuring the US energy system as we sort of quickly move to a transition out of carbon-based power. It's going to be central, these co-ops. And they're there with this, they're still co-ops. Their goal and their ideology and their framework is to help their member owners.
Right.
And yet it's very hard. They're kind of between a rock and a hard place because they're blocked in to very long-term contracts with essentially overpriced coal. So like the dirtiest energy and the most expensive energy.
Right.
And they need a way out.
Wow. Have you talked at all, or even begun talks at all with any members of Congress about what would be possible and necessary to do?
We haven't, not directly, not yet. There's been a few, talking to staffers, and because we are in DC, and there's been explorations. We have a little 2-pager that we share with anybody. We've been mostly talking to other stakeholder groups, either environmental groups or environmental justice groups or labor groups, to try to really share and socialize the idea. And we're hoping to go to a much more public phase in the next month or so.
Great. Well, you've got a new administration and a somewhat new Congress to base that on. And you send me the 2-pager and my own article. We'll put on our website, and with this Hanukkah celebration. By the way, we chose to begin this effort with Hanukkah because, after all, one of the legends of Hanukkah is that 1 day's worth of olive oil lasted for 8 days. So first of all, olive oil is a renewable source of energy. Secondly, there's an energy conservation element, 1 day's worth for 8 days. So we thought this is the perfect festival to start this work. And so we're going to be using this as a takeoff point, not as an end point, as a takeoff point to do this. And we'll be pressing this in the Jewish community beginning this Hanukkah. And I would love to be able to continue work with you. We'll talk with other faith groups, not only the Jewish community. And I imagine, I'm sure that you've already found churches as well as synagogues that have begun work on this.
Yeah, we're anxious to get synagogues and churches to join in, and we'll work with anybody that wants to work on it. It's going to take a lot of people all rowing to get it to rise to the pile, I think.
Right. Well, that's great. Anything else that you would like us to begin doing? We will get the word out beginning this Hanukkah and continuing.
No, I hope that people will consider coming to our website and like just getting on our mailing list. And you can get on the mailing list and say, I'm interested in the 30 million roofs or expanding solar. Yeah. And then we can keep people in touch about progress and, steps along the way, because it's really going to take a lot of people holding hands and collaborating together. And that will really help us keep, get everyone involved.
Why don't you say out loud what the website is, and we'll also put it in print on.
Wonderful. It's solarunitedneighbors.org.
Great.
So
okay.
It's easy, Google it or whatever, and it's easy to find. And,
Let me ask some more substantive questions about what
Sure.
you found as you work on this. For example, what have you done where you meet in a poverty-stricken neighborhood that people don't have? I know in DC, the city government has been ready to provide grants and so on. But when you've reached outside of DC, what has happened where you found neighbors or neighborhoods, whole neighborhoods even, where people haven't been able, the roofs are not conducive to putting in solar collectors. People may not have money for continuing batteries, et cetera, et cetera. What have you done when you've met that kind of problem?
It's a great question. And it's definitely an area that needs a lot of work. It's not simple. We, as you mentioned, we ran the single family low income program that the DC government had over the last 2 years called Solar for All. And we worked really hard to pass the law that created Solar for All, which provides money, grant money, so that every single low income homeowner or home, not just homeowners, but household in DC, whether they're in an apartment building or a house, can get their electricity bill lowered by half through either subscription to community shared solar or solar on their roof. And even having it 100% paid for, we had a really hard time implementing. We did 85 houses. It took about 18 months. And you have to build trust in the community. You have to have money for roof repairs. You have to have a track record. And you really have to have real people in the community advocating for it. So it takes time. People need the real experience. They need to see it's the real deal, that you're not some other group coming in to rip them off and trick them. And you've got to live time for that. So what we're doing across the country is we're trying to start small pilot projects in as many cities as we can. So not a big project, but 10 houses here and 10 houses there and 5 houses here, so that you start planting those seeds. So we just finished, well, not just finished, we've just, I think, got to the 10th install in a low-income solar project in Indianapolis. Mm-hmm. And we're partnering with the city of Indianapolis. And to get the money together for that, it's been a little bit of money from the city, a little bit of money from grants, crowdfunding. I think a local law firm put in a hunk of money. So everybody comes together. And then our process, as you know from us talking before, by doing it as a group, we're also lowering the costs. Yeah. And then there's this 30 million solar roof proposal, which one of the things that's a cornerstone of that is that at least for a couple years, we would ask that the federal tax for solar, first of all, that it goes back up to 30%, but that for low-income households and nonprofits like synagogues and churches and schools, it would be a grant instead of a tax credit. Mm-hmm. So even if you don't pay taxes, you could take advantage of the incentive. And then there's other tricks that we've learned. Like one thing we've learned is that many cities have roof repair programs, or many communities, not just cities. And the idea is, especially with older people, if you can keep them in their home, it's less expensive for the entire community. And the person prefers to be in their home, but if they can't afford the upkeep, they would have to go to a state home or something like that. So it's cost effective to replace the roof. Oh. Well, if you're already replacing the roof, why not add solar at the same time?
Right.
So it's doubling up and pairing these programs together. So that's a whole nother opportunity. And then there's groups like Habitat for Humanity and other sort of where people contribute their labor. We're working with a crowd building. I think I'm just forgetting the name, in Virginia. It's a Mennonite group, and they go in like a barn raising model, and they contribute the labor to the solar installs. And that helps also bring the cost down. You still need a professional electrician and design and the equipment, but if you bring the labor costs, it starts to help and it starts to add up. So what we've found is that around the country is that there's as many incredibly inspiring examples and models as there are people. And every town kind of has to figure out their own formula. But the most important thing is that people understand that they can do it, and that it's affordable, and that they can save money in the long run. That the fundamental idea is that you can make your own energy on your roof less expensively than buying it from the utility.
Right.
And if you're armed with that simple concept, then it's just a question of how you put it together after that.
That's wonderful. Okay. We will work with you. We will spread the word about what you're doing. And Hanukkah is a great beginning, but it obviously is not going to stop there. And we will be working with the idea that during the next year and beyond the next year, we will hope to continue to make this happen. Thank you so much, Anya.
Thank you. Thank you for your inspiration and leadership. It's so nice to be talking to you again. I really appreciate it.
Thank you you said it started in 2007.
Yeah.
Just the idea of somebody wanting to become bar mitzvah.
That's
amazing.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Take
Thank
care.
you so much. Be well.
You too.
Well. Have a bright and life-giving Hanukkah.
You too. Yeah.
Darkness to the light as we dance among the shadows flickering in black and white. All things dark are not just evil, all things light are not just good. Can we live with contradictions? Yud hey vav hey yud. Bring some light into the darkness. Bring some darkness to the light. As we dance among the shadows, flickering in black and white. All things dark are not just evil. All things light are not just good. Can we live with contradictions? Yud hey vav hey yud.
Shalom Aleichem, Good Yontiv, Chag Orim Sameach, joyful festival of lights, light in a time of darkness. Now I'm here to share a kind of interesting perspective on the festival of Hanukkah. First of all, it's a festival of light in a time of darkness. Here we are in the 25th, it begins in the 25th day of the month of Kislev. I say moons because it's a lunar moon. The word month really comes from moons. And at the 25th, the moon is beginning to disappear from our sight here on Earth. And by the 8th day of the festival, it's 8 days long, it has disappeared. And then a glimmer of it reappears. And by the end of the 8 days, it's begun to be seriously visible again. This month, the month of Kislev, is always close to the winter solstice, when there's the least sun in the northern hemisphere that we get to see. So it's the darkest time of the year in the northern hemisphere, and just beginning to be the time when we recognize the dark and realize the light is going to be coming again. It's not that we dismiss or denigrate the dark. We celebrate both the dark and the light. And we'll hear a song that does both of those. But it is a time to recognize that the dark is coming and the light needs to be celebrated. It's a question. Is it coming again? There are other aspects of Hanukkah too. One of them is the legend that 1 day's worth of olive oil, a renewable source of energy to make light for the great menorah in the ancient temple, that 1 day's worth of it served for 8 days to bring us sacred light. And so Hanukkah is the festival not only of renewable energy, but of conserving energy. And we are needing a festival to celebrate both those, renewable and conserving energy, in our own generation. And there is even a deeper meaning of Hanukkah. The great menorah in the temple is a symbol of that deeper meaning. You can see in the decoration on my kippah, my yarmulke, a representation of that menorah. And we have several graphics that you'll be seeing, which remind us of the real meaning of that menorah. For one thing, the description in the Torah of what that menorah was supposed to look like is that it was really a tree. It's described in the Torah as branches of a tree, buds of the flowers that grew from a tree, a calyx, which is a very fancy English word that means the group of green leaves that held the buds and the flowers that grew from the tree. The calyx was a tough little group of green leaves. And there's a tree in Israel, even still, that you can find that has branches with a strong central branch and then a group of branches, 3 on each side, that grow from that central branch. And that's the model for making the menorah. So there's a human-made tree made of gold that's at the heart of the ancient Mishkan, the portable shrine that was carried from place to place in the wilderness. Then we read about in the prophetic reading, it's called the Haftarah for the Shabbat, the Sabbath that comes during Hanukkah, we read a passage from the prophet Zechariah, which is really amazing. It celebrates the menorah in the temple, the light-bearing candlestick, you might say, in the temple. And it's not really a candlestick. It's got a series of 7 small bowls of olive oil, which light up the temple. Light up the world is the intention. And the 7 is a sacred number for many purposes in Judaism. And the 7 of this golden menorah that is built on the model of a tree, in Zechariah's wistful imagining of a new temple built. The Babylonians had destroyed the original temple in Jerusalem, and he was imagining the rebuilding. And he imagined something that was not at all in the first temple, but he imagined a second temple where there would be 2 olive trees, one on each side, the right and the left of the menorah. And so there'd be trees, real living trees, and they would be secreting their olive oil straight into the menorah to light those little bowls of olive oil to light the whole building and the whole world in the hopes of the people. Most of the prophets were very nervous and, in fact, opposed to the idea of a tree being in the temple. But Zechariah wanted there to be these 2 olive trees. He celebrated the whole thing as an affirmation of, he said, not by might and not by power, but by spirit, the same word as breath and wind. By my breath, my wind, my spirit, says the living breath of life. That's what the menorah and these 2 living trees were about. And then just a few lines after the prophetic passage, the rabbis stopped the prophetic passage just a few lines early. He says explicitly that the 2 olive trees are secreting their golden olive oil straight into the golden menorah without need for any human beings to come and squeeze the olives and press them so that there would be olive oil to put into the menorah to burn, to make the light. The olive trees and the menorah are a tiny little cyborg forest, cybernetic organism forest that is living at the heart of the temple. And I think the point is that they are a physical version of the words for a human being and earth. Human being in Hebrew is the word Adam, and earth in Hebrew is Adamah. Adam and Adamah. The 2 words are connected like this. They're totally different from the word environment in English, which means in the environs out there, separate. They're connected, they're interwoven like this. And I think they're a physical attempt to put at the heart of the temple the reality that what is human and what is earthy are not in the environs separated, but together, interwoven. That's the truth. The only way to say that in English would be to say earth and earthling. But we treat that like a strange woo-woo word from Star Wars or some such. But it's the true word, and Hebrew gets it. So I think that's at the heart of Hanukkah, at the deep heart. This festival of dark and light, this festival of renewable energy and conservation of energy is at its heart a festival of Adam and Adamah, a festival of earth and earthling. And that's how we're celebrating it here. The Shalom Center is celebrating it that way, a Hanukkah of earth and earthling together. The graphics show it, one of them from the Middle Ages, showing how the lights of the menorah are bright flowers, buds of flowers from a tree. And we have created a symbol of what we call the green menorah covenant, a covenant to protect the interrelationship of earth and earthling, of Adam and Adamah, by protecting us all from the destructiveness of the climate crisis and the extinction crisis, protecting the interwovenness of earth and earthling in our generation, protecting us so that both earth and earthling can live through the breath of life. The Yud He Vav He, the YHWH name of God, that can only be pronounced by simply breathing. The only sound that is in every human language, and not just in every human language, but the breath that comes from every tree and every grass as oxygen into every animal, and the breath that comes from every animal in the form of CO2 into every grass and every tree, every vegetation. The breath that keeps all life on planet Earth alive. The breath that, distorted by pouring too much CO2 into our planet, is choking Earth. So Earth can't breathe. What we call the climate crisis is a crisis in the name of God. And Hanukkah is one of those festivals that is the children of the love affair between the Jewish people and the breath of life, the divine breath of life. And now we need to celebrate those festivals in such a way that it protects the breath of life. That's what we are calling on all of us to do to begin this Hanukkah. Have a good Hanukkah, a good one, a good festival of light. Chag Urim Sameach, a happy festival of the light inside as well as the light we see, earth in each other, humans in each other, earthlings in. Be well. Shalom.
This big old world keeps on spinning. Light follows darkness, follows light. Please bless the hearts, the hands that hold us gently, and make a place for us to shine. Each moment is a new beginning. Each breath a flute of light inside. And all your love will hold and make us stronger, and make a place for us to shine. 1, 2, 3, 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 shine. May you be blessed and protected. May love forever light your Night follows darkness, follows light. Please bless the heart